Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney here. Look at this man. I don't even know what to say. Look at this. Well, first of all, he has the best title of a book ever written. He cussed in his title, so we know it's going to be a good conversation. Syndication is a bitch. So how you doing today, Bruce?
Dude, I'm doing great. And that title either resonates with somebody like you, or some people are like, I don't even want to talk to that dude. He's got to be a dick. Like,
you know what's funny? We met last week for the first time, and I could say this to you because I know you don't give a crap. But you toss your name around in certain circles, and everybody's like, "Well, I don't know about that guy." And you know what I say to them? Because I'm kind of that guy too. At least you know what you're getting with Bruce, right? Yeah. There's no smoke and mirrors. There's no truth. Like, you call it like you see it. And I think it's quite refreshing, to be honest with you, in the days of Instagram and social media.
Yeah, and I tell people when I talk that, look, some of you aren't going to like the words I use. I get it. I apologize, but it's just who I am. It's the way I talk. You might not like the fact that I like to drink bourbon. Okay, I'm sorry about that too, but I do. It's just who I am. And I just want to be upfront with everybody from the beginning. Let everybody know who I am. Don't seduce somebody and then they get into a deal with me or coaching with me or whatever. And then they go, oh, I didn't know this is who you. Just be honest about who we both are. And I'm not for everybody. Nobody's for everybody. But I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. And that's a great place to start. And we'll catch that. But I want to hear, I've heard your podcast and stuff like that. And we've talked about it. I want to hear kind of, I know your story, but you can start wherever you want. And we'll kind of go from there on. You can start when you first syndicated your first. wherever you want to start, really, to be honest with you. It's up to you.
So for what I do now, I'm a syndicator, and I started that back in 2000. Well, I started my education back in 2011, but I actually bought my first deal in 2012. But I came out of retail. I was a guy with no college education. I had dropped out of college, came from a couple of parents that were high school dropouts. So, not a whole lot of formal education on my background. Fell into retail for almost 20 years and just realized I can't keep doing this because I'm 5'8". I was 240 pounds. I was a fat dude. I was depressed. I hated my life. I just hated it. Because I was working 80 to 110-hour weeks that last year of working for somebody else. So I had to figure something else out. And I took a year off, just hung around by myself in my house out in Leander and, just tried to figure out what I wanted to do next. So I didn't have a family. I didn't have pets. I didn't have a girlfriend. I had nothing. So I just cleared my mind for a year. And then I started on my quest to find a good coach to teach me how to invest in real estate. And I found somebody to teach me the multifamily ropes and specifically how to syndicate deals. And that's what I've done ever since.
And I love that. And something I want to stick there because it's super important. I made a comment about this a couple of weeks ago because I got laid off too. The society that we've created means that the moment that you lose a job or something bad happens, you have to have an answer tomorrow or within the hour. And how did you have the personal confidence or mental fortitude, maybe you didn't, to take that year off and really make a decision in the right direction instead of what I think other people do? There's a joke around football. Like, take the year off of coaching and you'll get more expensive. Like, because they're making the right decision. How did you stick with maybe you didn't have an option. You were just so burnt out and tired. But
well, that's it. I was so burnt out and tired. And on that specific thought, I had so I was a store manager for a big box retailer when I finally threw in the towel and just walked away. And one of my peers, another store manager within that company locally where I was working, he reached out to me. He said, "Hey, man, I heard you're leaving." I said, "Yep, absolutely. Well, where are you going?" I'm like, "Nowhere. I'm going to go to my house. I'm going to go to my living room and just sit there." He goes, "Well," and there was panic and fear in this dude's eyes. He's a great guy. He said, "Bruce, what are you going to do?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude?" Well, how are you going to make money? How are you going man, And that made me realize, oh no. See, I'm 42 years old at that age, and I've already saved a fair amount of money, invested wisely, lived within my means or below my means. But the panic and concern of that guy for me kind of told me that he can't do what I'm about to do because that dude has no savings. He can't go a paycheck or two and not get a paycheck, and his world would be upside down. I had time. I had money saved. I could sit around for a few years while I tried to collect my thoughts, decompress. I got a rental car and drove around the eastern half of the U.S. for a month or a month and a half just by myself. Just stopping in random places. I drove to Canada. I drove to Key West. I went to the Baseball Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame. Just trying to, again, decompress and figure out what the hell am I going to do for the rest of my life. Came back home and just sat around in my yard, like I said, worked in my yard for a year and then went, okay, I'm bored. So I went out and found something, and that something happened to be real estate.
Dude, I know we said this when we met the first time, but it is eerily similar how our lives are, because I just did the same thing. 16 states in 3 months, and there's trepidation, but there's also recentering yourself, right? And finding out what you're truly meant to do and dropping down what you're not meant to do. But we as society don't teach people that, right? We don't. And to piggyback on this conversation, it's the same thing that me and you talked about how you could easily have 4,000, 5,000 units if you truly wanted to, but you're 100% comfortable with where you are because you're not living your life on some unit count. You're more worried about your lifestyle, right?
Right. And, some people will go, oh, you'll see it in their eyes. Oh, you're only at, having syndicated 1,100 units. Well, yeah, I don't feel shame in that. I've got really, really good close personal friends that are at 2, 3, 4,000 units. And I'm extremely happy for them because that was right for them. We'll get to more units, but that's not the game for me. The game is living a healthy, balanced life, making sure that our growth is manageable, make sure we don't get out over our skis, jump up, but then pull back to make sure our systems are still sound. You'll have to adjust some systems as you grow and then take off again. So it's been very manageable growth for us. And, I've gotten sidetracked a couple of times to be fair. I worked for another company for a little while, teaching people how to invest in multifamily. I started an oil services company, which that was a horrible mistake. Lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in that thing and decided, no, let's come crawling back to multifamily. So, I've had a few off ramps, but always had my portfolio. So I've got sidetracked a few times, but I don't regret it. It's that whole mantra, right? Everything that I've done in my past has led me to where I am. So I'm not disappointed in anything I've done. I'm happy with where I am.
And something that just struck me as you sit today, the gentleman that's talking to me right now, if you could give advice to 42-year-old Bruce that was burnt out, overweight, and not in a good place in his career, if you could have given him advice, like as you sit here today, what would you have told him that maybe you didn't know in the moment?
Well, I don't know. I kind of came to it at that point. So if I was to tell myself, ask myself the same question or give myself the same advice as I was 35, maybe would be a better time. Because again, at 42, I had my epiphany. I can't do this anymore. But back then I would have said, look, don't do something. Don't lie to yourself. Don't tell yourself, oh, I love retail because I'm a people person. I am a people person, but man, retail, look, I'm not bashing on retail. It wasn't for me. It is for a lot of people. And I truly did enjoy it for a little while. But, I would tell myself, keep trying, keep pushing, Gary Vaynerchuk, taste everything. Try a little bit of everything. I was single. I didn't have to be kind of tethered to a job 100 hours a week. I chose to do that because I was climbing that ladder. Every time I got a promotion, 10 to 15, maybe 20% raise, but a lot more stress, a lot more liability and responsibility. But that was all I knew, right? I came from an uneducated background. But when I graduated high school in the mid 80s, you had to go to college, right? That was what you were supposed to do. And then you had to work for somebody else, put money in a 401k and, retire when you're 65 or set. I was doing what everybody told me to do. I would tell myself, don't do that just because there's dogma in the world that that's what you have to do. Take time to figure your own self out. And that's what we try to teach our 21-year-old daughter right now. Don't beat yourself up because you don't have your shit figured out. It's okay. The average billionaire, I saw this stat right after I quit working for other people. The average billionaire does not find their calling or the big thing that hits for them until they're 43.
Yes.
My daughter's 21, right? So it's like, take some time. Don't be lazy. Don't live off the system. Provide for yourself, but try stuff and just get out there and do it all.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings that I say to my client, and I say it because it's so stupid that it really fucks with them, is that I say, we all beat ourselves up because we don't know what we don't know because we don't know. Yep. And we, especially in the 20-year-olds, they're mad at themselves because they wasted this money or this time or whatever. And I'm like, you're only operating on the level of information that you have available to you. Yet we want to tear ourselves down and erode our inner confidence and beat ourselves up for no reason when you have a long life.
Right. I was talking to somebody on the phone one day that reached out, and she was talking to me. She was in her early 50s, maybe late 40s. Bruce, I just feared that I got started too late, and maybe I didn't, and maybe I did this, and I should have done. I was like, hey, stop. She's like, what? I'm just sharing my story. I'm like, well, no, that's good. I'm glad you're sharing your story. But let's say you're 50 years old. You have probably another 50 to 70 years of good health, right, that you will still live. So don't beat yourself up because you haven't accomplished what you thought by the time you got to a specific age. Well, it's okay. You still have a lot of runway left to make a change, to make something of that dream you had, to pursue that dream. So don't ever give up. I know not to give up, but still, I'll show you this. My phone. I know not to give up, but still, it's always a reminder. Don't give up. Don't let society or dogma say, oh, no, you should. That's a young man's game. You should have done that at 20 or 30. There's nothing that doesn't make sense. That's because somebody told you that. Bullshit. Do what you want to do when you want to do it and just go after it as hard as you can, even if you're 80.
There's nothing that makes me happier, and not my grandma, I will say that because I'm not okay with that. But when I see 84-year-olds still dating and stuff like that, and I'm like, look at these guys, man. I mean, they're still like, hey, I'm out there dancing and everything. My grandma has a boyfriend. I know I'm not happy about it, but it's okay. But I love that, right? And we somewhere along, and this is, rampant in multifamily, is that, well, I'm 28 years old and I don't have this many units. And I'm like, well, who told you? A society out there telling you that is there some chart that I'm not aware of that says that when you're 35, you have to have this many units, you have to have this? Because, guys, I'm going to let you in on a secret. You have to sell and buy real estate. Unit counts are going to go up and down, just like your weight. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense to me.
Right. So are you happy with where you are? I'm not, I always butcher this. I'm not content. I'm happy. Maybe I should say I'm not satisfied, right? I always want more. I always want better. I always want bigger, but not just for the sake of big or more or better. I'm happy with where I am now, but I enjoy business. I enjoy real estate. So I will continue to, start new businesses, to grow my current businesses, to buy more properties because I enjoy doing it. And I enjoy creating jobs for other people. So, I don't do it because I got to hit this. You say, you ask these people, is there some chart I don't know about? Well, funny, on the internet, the interweb, there's all kinds of studies that come out all the time. Hey, but here's a chart of decade by decade. If you're in your 20s, this is how much your net worth should be. Your 30s, you should have this net worth. 40s, this net worth. So we're always being bombarded with measuring sticks. The measuring stick should be, are you happy? Are you a good person? Do you contribute to society? Do you help others? And again, do you just enjoy your life? Are you there for those that need you? And if you can say yes to that stuff, to me, that's all that matters. The rest of it will take care of itself. Get to where you're going as you get there. Don't put pressure on yourself from some outside influence. It's just ridiculous.
And something I'm glad that this is the reason I have the podcast, because I want to ask you, somebody farther along in business and somebody that I respect, opportunities are coming right now that are things that I've wanted for a long time, are projects that I've wanted to take on. But as I don't jump at everything and I stand back and look at things, I'm very cognizant of how taking on that project or that new situation is going to shift my lifestyle, which I've cultivated and created over painless months to make sure that I'm 100% content in what I do if I don't want to work Fridays. What would you say to somebody that for the first time in a long time is having those opportunities being laid at their feet? How do you walk away from money like that, even though you have to create abundance in your mind and say there's more out there if it doesn't.
Well, it's funny because I just had a conversation with a really good friend of mine and a business partner, somebody that you have talked to recently. And, said, hey, Bruce, I've got my YouTube channel and it's going really well and it's growing faster than I thought. People reaching out to me, for coaching and for mentoring. It's like, hey, that's great. So where he is right now, he's young, he's under 30 years old. And when somebody is offering to give you $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to coach or mentor them, you're right. It's like, whoa. What I try to do for him is say, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but please don't be blinded by the money. Cause I've been down that road. You take things on, you're like, oh my God, somebody's going to give me $20,000 in, one check. Now I'm going to work for them for a year maybe, but still I get it all at once. And it's hard to say no to that, especially, somebody like me that came out of retail, grew up poor, that's hard to say no to, but you start to learn that your time is exceptionally valuable. And even if you, amortize out that $20,000 and let's say it averages out to $500 an hour, that's $1 million if you were to make that on a full-time job. How do you say no to that? Well, it's taking up so much of my time and I love helping people, but it's keeping me from other things that truly fulfill me. I love to help people. I love to teach. But when I have to teach because I have to teach, it's a different thing, right? I want flexibility. I want freedom. And when I'm beholden to others, even though it's $20,000, maybe even $40,000, that comes with a lot of obligation. And again, it's not that he shouldn't do it, but I try to help him see that, look, there are bigger things out there for you. Your personality is such that I think it would serve you better to do other things. You've got ways to, make $100,000 an hour with what you're doing. So just try to give people perspective. And when people start to reach out like that to you, when you start to grow a name, a personal brand, and a presence in your industry, a lot of it boils down to ego. Oh my God, look at this. People, I matter. And somebody's willing to give me $20,000. Of course, the ego says, yeah, got to take that. That's an affirmation that, hey, I made it. Try it. Maybe it's good for you. Maybe it's not good for you, but go into it with an open mind. Keep an open mind throughout this and don't just be doing it because, oh, that $20,000 is nice, but I hate doing it. But that $20,000, but I hate, walk away if you hate it.
No, I love that. And if I brought you on here and we didn't talk syndication, the young kids would have me buy a steak and they'd have me out in the pasture. So we'll shift and we'll finally talk real estate on my podcast, guys. I'd rather talk mindset and life all day long. But okay, so I'd love to hear your view on it. Syndication seems to be what Airbnb is right now. It's the sexy girl in the room. It's the hottest girl in the club. And there are people over syndicating properties just to get deals done that I'm not okay with because you're gonna mess up your investors. And walk us through, your syndication. You have a different point of view. You say skip the 30s, the 60s, not skip them, but understand that if you go for 100 unit and plus, you have professional management in. I remember that from your podcast. So I'll let you take that where you want to on the syndication, but it's definitely an interesting topic that everybody I talk to, the young kids, this is what they want to do. So.
Right. So I wrote the book, Syndicating is a Bitch, because I wanted to be sure people understood that this is a great way to make a living. It's rewarding. It's all that. But man, it's a lot harder than you realize it is. And I'm not trying to talk anybody out of syndicating, but if I do end up talking some people out of it, that means they really, now that they know the truth, it's not for them, and that's fine. I'm very happy to have talked them out of it through my book, right? But syndicating is great, but you're right. Everybody's chasing it right now. But my personal philosophy on syndication, first of all, if you have the personality to be able to do it well, do it effectively, well, go do it. But I think most people don't, right? They're not ready for the kick in the nuts that they're going to get, the dead people on their property, the arson, just all this stuff that's going to happen. They're not ready for it. I don't know they'll ever be ready for it. Being served papers on your front doorstep. Here you go, Mr. Peterson, you've been served. Yeah, I got a lawsuit. Well, okay, that just comes with being an entrepreneur, but a lot of people can't handle that. But if you can, I always say start in multifamily, not single family, unless you need to start in single family. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't have the capital needed to get started in multifamily, well, go make it as a flipper or a wholesaler or a single family rental investor. Start wherever you have to start, but get started somewhere. But then when we get into multifamily, get there as quickly as you can, because now we're in commercial. It's a bigger sandbox, if you will. You can make more money. The upside is tremendously larger. It's more rational and it's safer. But I do believe, again, if you have the capital and the resources to raise money from, don't start with a 5 unit, because that's where multifamily starts. Don't start with a 6 or a 12 or an 18. If you can, I think you should start at a 40 unit and above, because 40 units and above, just a general rule of thumb, granted, but that's when you could usually afford part-time staff if you're going to do the self-management thing. If you're going to hire a third-party property management company, that's when those guys start to really kind of want to manage your stuff. They don't want to manage your 5 unit. It's a pain in their ass. They have no office for somebody to sit in. It's tough, and you really can't afford third-party management anyways on a 5 unit. So the larger you can go, the easier it is. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but now, because the larger you go, the more bodies you can hire to sit on that property and manage it, maintain it. The larger your portfolio, right? So if you have 200 unit property versus 1,000 unit portfolio, well, 1,000 unit portfolio means you can afford to hire corporate staff now, to have a corporate bookkeeper, to have corporate HR, corporate operations, regional managers. Now it even gets easier, because before you were wearing every one of those corporate hats because you couldn't afford to hire anybody. So go as big as you can, as safely as you can. Don't overextend yourself. Only you and your mortgage broker, basically, are going to know what's too much. But you have to be rational. You have to know what's right for you, but go as big as you can, as quickly as you can.
And I think if you had to put your finger on it, because it took me many years to get there. Maybe I surround myself with amazing people and my mindset's great. What would you say a typical investor, if they were to start in the 40 to 50 range, what do you think holds them back from not pulling the trigger if they had the funds available or they could raise the money? What do you think holds them back from starting there?
It's basic fear. That's what it is. People, when I try to get people to understand why they should be in commercial or multifamily instead of single family, this comes up a lot. But I don't know anything about multifamily. Well, hold up. Did you know anything about single family rentals when you started? No. Did you know anything about flipping when you started? No, I didn't. Okay. Did you know anything about how to code, how to, computer program, whatever you want to call it, before you got started? No. This is just the next thing you have to learn. Mm-hmm. Don't not do it because you're scared, because you don't know how to do it. Well, of course, that's the way everything goes. But that's what holds a lot of people back. It's the fear of the unknown, the fear of, I've never done it. I don't know how to do it. Look, when I first did my first deal, I never owned a single family rent home. I never invested in anybody else's syndication. I never bought my own multifamily property by myself. I went out and I syndicated my very first deal, which was an apartment complex that was 48 units. Was I scared? Well, shit, yeah, I was scared. I was nervous as hell. I'd never done this. I'm a retail kid. Don't know what the hell I'm doing here. But I had a good coach. And I called her the day before we were going to close, and I said, hey, she could sense something was wrong. She goes, what's wrong? I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. She goes, well, it's okay. I know what I'm doing. And you've proven the ability to listen, follow, and implement what I tell you. You're asking questions along the way, but you're going to get through this. You have to have confidence. You've been, for me, right? And I'm sure most people listening can say the same thing. I was successful in everything I ever tried. How the hell is this going to be any different? Because I see people all around the world, all around the country, all around my city and my state. People are successful at doing this. Well, then why can't I be successful doing this? I'm not brilliant, but I'm at least of average intelligence, but I'll work my ass off. So I knew with that, and it's been proven everywhere that real estate works. So of course I can do it. So that's it. It's just fear. You got to move. Trust yourself.
Yeah, I have a statement I use with my coaching clients. What if? Like, what if? And then you enter and you cross that threshold. And when you stepped across the line of that 48 unit, you went, holy shit. Like, I just sped up my life like 7 years. And, you meet these young kids and they're like, what's your goal? And I'm like, I want 2 single family houses in 7 years. And I'm like, what? What is that? What is that? Doesn't even make sense to me. That sounds so, well, I mean, you need a W-2 job and I need this much money for the down payment. No, you don't need any of those things. But we have conditioned ourselves, what you say, into thinking that this is the only way that stuff gets done. There's no limitations on life whatsoever. We are the only limitation.
Exactly. You talked about I need a W-2 to get those loans. So I had quit working for other people. I didn't have a W-2. I got a $1 million plus loan to buy an apartment complex with no experience, no track record, no fucking job. Don't tell me you can't do it or I have to have this to get. No, I did it. And again, I'm from retail. I'm a college dropout. I promise. If my dumb ass can do it, so can you. And people, it's that negative self-talk. It's the self-doubt. It's the, I could never do. Other people are doing it. Why can't you do it? Why can't it be you? You say, what if? That's that whole regret thing, right? And Vaynerchuk talks a lot about this too. He says the most painful thing that I encounter on a daily basis is sitting and talking with an 80 or a 90-year-old that's getting close to the end of their life. And without exception, they always say, what's your biggest regret? That I didn't try, that I didn't follow my dream, that I didn't take that chance. It's regret. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Don't regret shit. Look, I'm guilty of it too. There are mental blocks that I have right this very moment. I need to start a YouTube channel. I'm freaked out by that. I don't like being in front of the camera when I'm not being interviewed. When it's just me talking to a camera, it's awkward as shit for me. But I got to break through that.
Well, I'll tell you this, young man. I'll call you a young man. Do it. I think you would be a sensation at it. So please, for me, as I tell my coaching clients, just it's as simple as this. There's 2 things I want to make a point of. I have themes, like overall themes for the year, like a word or a phrase. Well, 2 years ago, my theme was lean in. It was lean into everything. I don't know how it's going to get done, but I'm just going to say yes. I don't know how it's going to do it, but get out of here. You're such a...
I'm leaning in. You told me to lean in.
but what I'm saying is, what it made me realize is all the fears I had were not as fearful as I thought. And when my mentor gave me the opportunity to fly across the country to meet for 15 minutes, I leaned in, and now we're like best friends. And I got an opportunity to work on a hotel project. So it's like, we're so fearful, right? Of what, but it's a simple, God, I shouldn't give away my techniques on who cares? All right. So what I get my clients to do is, if you gave me 90 days, and you went all in, I mean, all the way in on real estate or whatever you want to do, or your relationship with your wife, name me the positives. Well, they name the positives. All good stuff. I'd be healthier. I'd be, more money. I'd be more confident. Okay. Name me the negatives. I'll wait. They never have a negative. We create stories in our mind for why we can't. And we have no idea what might happen because we can't see it.
Right. So, I told you that I've got this mental block of YouTube, right? So again, I'm going to say something, but keep in mind that I still have those. We all have those demons in our own minds. But I'm famous for, I'll be at a party, a cocktail party, a reception, networking event, whatever. I'll be sitting talking to a group of people and there'll be somebody behind me. And this happens quite often. Hey, Bruce, you want to do it? Yeah. And then after you say, yeah, then I'll go, oh, well, what are we doing? I always say, yeah. Now I can always retract my yes, but I always want to say yes.
Yep.
If it's something that's going to kill me, I'm probably going to say, well, maybe I need to say no now. But no, dude, don't say. Take every challenge that comes your way. That's not going to cause harm to you or somebody else, right? Let's be realistic about it. But just say yes. Just say yes. Try everything. Again, Vaynerchuk, taste everything. Just go out there and don't be afraid. Again, I got to get over that with YouTube, right? Again, sure. I battle it. We all battle it. But I'm always telling myself that. And just, accept opportunities that come, because they're not always going to come. So don't let good opportunities pass you by because you're scared.
I wonder if, and I'm not trying to dissect you on any count, but I wonder if the concern with the YouTube is not so much you on camera as it is that you're a competitive guy and the climb up is pretty hot, it's hard, especially in that space. And if you're looking at your numbers and not seeing the progression that you're needing, like, you think
no, it's really not that. I know what it is. It's self-consciousness, right?
Okay.
I'm hypercritical of myself. What are they going to think? Is my hair going to be in the wrong place? Or are they going to think you got a booger hanging? I don't want to listen to you. It's that thing, right? It's a bit of vanity. It's a bit of insecurity. And I own that. I know what it is. But that's making it very hard for me to move. Not that, people won't respond well to me, because not to be arrogant, some of these people that said, I don't know about that guy, Bruce, he's kind of a jackass. I'm confident in who I am.
Sure.
I'm very confident. I know I have a lot of value to add to the world. I just got to get out of that ego, that vanity part of my brain and go do it.
Where did, because you've told me you grew up poor and you were in retail for a while. Where did you gain the confidence that you have? Because you're so honest with yourself. I think self-awareness is a secret weapon that nobody talks about. I really think it's a superpower. You're so honest, and I am too. I don't want to look at spreadsheets at all. And if I have to send the emails or organize something, it's not going to work. But everything else, I'm great. So where did that inner confidence or that self-awareness, where did that come from?
Well, I didn't. So I've always just been a confident person. I'm very upbeat, very positive. Now, I could have my days where I bitch a little too much, but overall, my overarching theme, I'm very upbeat. My thing is, it's not half full, half empty. I'm overflowing full. But go back to 1986 when I barely got out of high school. And then I went to college for a couple of years, didn't work out, and I dropped out. For probably the next 10 to 15 years, I was embarrassed by that. I'd be around people that all had degrees and I was ashamed. It was a scarlet letter in my mind. Now, honestly, when I meet people, that's almost the very first thing out of my mouth that, I'm a college dropout. And it gets old to hear me say that, I'm sure, but I want people to understand that, look, I've, made something of myself professionally, but I did it without a degree. So I haven't always been crazy confident, but I've always been self-aware. I think I knew that I lacked confidence because of the lack of a degree back then. But, I am who I am. I don't know how else to be. Well, let's talk about that then too. I keep talking about Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't wear a man's name on my back. I'm not going to wear a football jersey. I don't care about autographs. I am who I am. I don't put anybody on a pedestal. Nobody's better than me. They've done something that I haven't done. Well, I've done shit that they've not done. So Gary Vaynerchuk to me is a little different. He's kind of, he does it for me. I really like that guy. But he talks about, the cussing thing. And for the longest time, just like the lack of a degree, I used to beat myself up, or maybe not beat myself up, but I was like, oh man, the cussing thing, it was just who I was. And it always came out and I felt bad. But then I finally found Gary Vaynerchuk about 3 or 4 years ago, and he says, I'm not apologetic about cussing. It's just who I am. There's no ill intent. I'm not cussing at you. I'm just cussing because that's the way I talk. Mm-hmm. And people used to tell him, you should quit cussing because you would land more business. He goes, but then I'm not genuine to me. Mm-hmm. And it comes across when I'm talking to other people, either one-on-one or on a stage. I have to be who I am. So that was a hugely empowering thing for me to hear, that I finally had license to just be who the hell I was. I'm going to offend some people. And some people have said, I don't think you should cuss. I don't want to listen to you. I had somebody at the thing I presented at, I gave a speech about 2 or 3 weeks ago at a real estate conference. And there's a guy in the room, I know him, and he had his 13-year-old daughter there. After we get started, I kind of braced the room at the beginning that, look, I cuss, sorry, it's just who I am. Let's go. I've got a lot of information and I truly care, but he got up and walked out. And there's a part of me that I hurt for that. It makes me feel bad. But again, I let him know up front, this is just who I am. So sorry, this is a very long-winded response.
No, you're good. You're good because I'm dealing with the same thing.
Yep.
And as you're saying that, like, I don't think people, and I know you feel this too, so I want to make a point of it. I don't think people understand how much inner fortitude it takes to just be you. Like, I can't tell you how many DMs or whatever I get, and like, well, I mean, if you didn't cuss, or like your writing was better, you could get more clients. You're devaluing the intelligence of your clients. And I'm like, and then that starts messing with your mind. And then I thought to myself, but wait, my clients fucking love me. Like, my clients love everything about me. But it takes so much inner fortitude to stand in the middle of that storm. But what I think by doing that is almost hardens who you are, meaning your internal belief. And that even shows in you even more, because that's where we're headed, right? With all the social media and everything, like, who you are and what you stand for is more that matters than what business is getting done.
Right. So you're talking about people that don't want to just be who they are and show who they are. Well, that's scary as hell, because it's all psychology, right? That if I expose my complete self and somebody doesn't like me, well, I got nothing. That's just personal. If I put out a facade and you don't like that facade, well, I know in the back of my mind, that's not really who I am. So we're afraid to be, it's a vulnerability or a lack of vulnerability, a lack of a willingness to be vulnerable. You know, talking about social media, the bigger and bigger your personal brand becomes, the more you're going to get hated on, the more you're going to have people wish you to die. Because I have that crap. I had somebody on Instagram recently light my ass on fire. He said, I can't wait for you to just fall over dead. I want you to, you're going to lose all your property someday, and I can't wait. I'm going to be there and laugh. It's like, where did that come from? Well, I was like, dude, you don't know anything about me.
Yeah.
How are you judging me like that? Because I shared a graphic that showed where $1 of rent goes, percentage-based, chopped up. Some of it goes to the rent. Some of it goes to staff. Some of it, mortgage, staff. A very little bit of it goes to profit. And I wanted to share that. It was from the apartment association. I wanted to share that. That flipped this dude out. You greedy fucking landlord. I'm like, whoa. Some people came to my defense. But what I do on Instagram, when I get flamed like that, when I get lit on fire like that, I'll give them their space. I'll give you 24 hours. We will talk. I will let you have your say.
Sure.
But if you don't ever quit with the vitriol and the hate and the anger, I'll give you 24 hours so people see I don't run from you. I will not run from anybody. I will engage with your ass. But then after 24 hours, I don't want the negativity either. So then I delete. But I don't hide from anybody that comes after me. You know,
well,
if they have a valid point, I will own that too. Honestly.
100%. It's interesting, right? And people don't talk about this a lot. But when you get sober and you lose the weight and you're happier, like, people think that I get sweet DMs all the time. Like, well, we're real proud of you, man. Thanks. You know what I actually get? Like, who the fuck do you think you are? You think you're better than us when 10 years ago you were drinking with us? And if I attach myself to that because I am a giver, like, I have to understand that they're just hurting and they don't know how to express it. And, I read a book, 5 Levels of Attachment, by Eckhart Tolle's disciple, changed my life. Because as an empath, I can go down there 24/7. I'm here and available to help, but I'm not gonna stand in that with you because it's not worth it. Nothing gets done.
Yeah. So Jeff Hoffman, the founder of Priceline.com, was talking to him one day, told a story about how he had his first big exit, multi-billion-dollar exit, and he was hanging out with his regular friends at dinner one night. And I might butcher this a little bit, but hanging out with his friends at dinner one night, and the check comes, and if I remember this correctly, the check comes, and everybody turns to him like, "Come on, Daddy Warbucks, come on, Mr. Billionaire, aren't you going to pick it up?" And he goes like, "Oh, sure, I'll pick it up." He says, then a while later, the same exact kind of thing happened, but it was the reverse. It was the same group of friends. They were having dinner. The bill comes. He goes to grab it, and they, "What, big shot? You think we can't carry our own weight?" And his story was, "I just gave up. I can't win. There's no way to satisfy everybody, so I just have to live my life." And not because they're going to hate you for being generous. They're going to hate you for not being generous. Doesn't matter. Again, it goes back to those people are broken. They're jealous. And I'm not trying to be holier than thou or stand on a soapbox because you're just not as good as me. It's not that, but there's something wrong in their world that they're jealous of your success. They, well, he did it. I didn't. If I don't tear him down, I have to reflect upon myself to go, well, he did it. Why can't I do it? So it's easier to just attack the other person about how you're a piece of shit now because you have succeeded. Well, what the hell is that? We should all become billionaires. Don't listen to Bernie Sanders. I lean left. Bear with me. I lean left. I lean left. But anyway,
hey, old man, I try to stay away from politics on this podcast. All right.
I don't want to make this, but so I don't want, Democrats to think, oh, I hate that guy because he hates Bernie. I don't hate Bernie at all. I like Bernie, but when he said billionaires should not exist, what the hell is that bullshit?
Isn't that the basis of America, capitalism?
It is. And so you think the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, should not be worth $1 billion. He's worth $1 billion, almost $200 billion, because of the value he brought to the world. That's what it is. He's created so much more than $200 billion in the world's to the world. All the jobs he's created, everything he's done. So I don't buy that stuff. Don't hate people. My niece said once, money's the root of all evil. Said from a lazy person.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to expend the energy to have money. Money is not evil. It makes you, it shines a brighter light on you if you are evil, but it doesn't make you evil. It gives you more options, more ability to help those that could truly use your help. If you're broke, how can you help other people that are broke?
Oh my God. Okay. Bruce, you just hit my sweet spot. This is the thing. Okay. God, I apologize to everybody. We're about to have a real conversation because I had this talk with my coach. I grew up with money. My dad's a doctor. I grew up as we got older, money, and all those people were miserable. But it cracks me up. I mean, splits my side. I can't even breathe. I'm laughing so hard when broke artists are like, money's the root of all evil. But yet the billionaires are the ones giving away $500 million. If you really want to do an impact on this world, then go create a product or start a business that impacts people where you can give away money. The only reason I want to get a lot of money is to give it away. Like straight up. Like I want to be able to walk into a restaurant because I wish this would have happened to me over and over again and been like, I see you're having a rough day. Here's $3,000. I hope that helps. Boom. Like, But they're going to sit there and stand on their high horse and preach and be broke, living in an apartment with 7 people and talking about how they're going to change the world. Like, I'm sorry, this is where we live. Like, if you really want to, like these programs that help homeless people and people recovering from drugs, like it costs money to get these people help.
In that solidarity, right? That, if I find a peer group that they're all broke and bitching about it at the same time and I can just join them, well, now there's comfort in we all feel this way. I think it was Jay-Z. I heard it on a podcast today by Tom Bilyeu, whoever his guest was. It was Ryan Holiday. I think they were quoting Jay-Z that said, look, hate me for having money if you will, but how can I help broke people if I'm broke with them? How can I give to them if I don't have myself? So take care of yourself. Make yourself, it's the whole thing in the plane. Put your mask on first and then help the 2-year-old.
Yep.
Take care of yourself first. Then you can help tremendous amounts of people. So and Grant Cardone, yeah, he rubs me the wrong way in a lot of ways, but I like that he says, don't apologize for success. You owe it to yourself, your community, your family, and your world to be as successful as you possibly can, because then you can make an impact. If you're broke, there's not a lot of impact you can make on the world, and maybe you're okay with that. That's totally fine if that's what you want, but don't judge my ass because I want to make something better of myself.
No, 100% agree. But something that I want to hit on when we met for lunch that I thought was super important, and I think it's an important point to get across to, which I consider my crowd to be the younger investors getting into the game or switching roles. You have an interesting philosophy on giving away books, your time for speeches and stuff like that I think is super important. It's something that I've taken to heart in my businesses and in how I operate now. And touch on that for a little bit about, like, don't be so concerned about that single transaction. Be more worried about the value you can bring, and over time, it'll pay off.
Right. To me, your thought process should be always relationship based, not transactional. Right. So I taught a group of people about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, on behalf of another company. And they said, hey, Bruce, this is what we would like you to cover. If you're willing to do it, it'll be a whole day on a weekend. I'm like, yeah, of course. Well, how much do you charge? I'm not going to charge you anything. And they're like, what? Like, look, it will come back to me somehow. And if it doesn't, it's fine too. I don't need it to come back to me. I enjoy doing this stuff. And the group that I did this for, they've given me tons of value and, promoted me numerous times. They're great people. Like, so then why am I going to ask you for money when you give freely to me and promote me and build me up? So yeah, I just want to do things for free. I'm giving away free books to everybody. I just want the book in people's hands. And the side piece of that, right? It's not altruism totally, right? I will get something from that. First of all, I'll get the joy of knowing, lots of people are reading my book, and that ego thing again. Yeah, it's kind of an ego boost that, hey, lots of people are reading my book. But again, I want to help a lot of people too. But now the other non-altruistic thing, it's just going to help spread my name. Some people will be turned off by me. I get that. But I think the overwhelming majority of people will find value, and they will appreciate that I gave them something free that could help them in their journey. And someday, somehow, some way, one of those people may return the favor, offer me a great investment, or just pay it back some other way. Again, if it doesn't happen, it's okay. But that's my thought process. Just give as much free content as I can. And someday I will start to monetize this. Let's not lie about it, right? A lot of the stuff that we do, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. There's a lot of creation that goes into what we're doing. So someday I'm probably going to need to monetize it. So I'm not going to apologize for that either when that day comes. But I'm glad to give away free as much as I possibly can.
You know what's interesting? I always tell this joke. The same person that is going to come up to me and you in 7 years when we're at your house in Park City, Utah, and go, how are you guys living such a good life? Are going to go, we've been saying the same thing for 10 years. You just didn't want to listen. And you're right. It is work to do the podcast, and I have to pay people to do the podcast, and all the free content that you could ever want in the world is out there. But as a person who talks about and claims that he wants a better life, you have to be willing to be taking that knowledge and put it into action. And imperfect action leads to great results. You can single-handedly change your life in 6 months to a year and totally be at a different trajectory if you want to. But we can sit here and him and I can talk till we're blue in the face, but you have to get real with yourself. And you have to stop making excuses, right? Because these two humans we are who we are, and we're not going to apologize for it. And we have faults just like everybody else. But we're here spending our time giving you information. And so put the pen down. I'm going to get on my soapbox. Stop learning everything about a fucking spreadsheet about multifamily and go buy a damn deal. I'm not saying buy a bad deal, but buy a deal. And if you need help partnering, there's a guy right there. I know 30 other people in Jake and Gino. Find the deal. I guarantee you, and I got a better idea. When you find the deal, forego your commission and get in part of the deal as an equity share, and you could turn around and make hundreds of thousands of dollars when they sell it. Wouldn't you agree, Bruce?
Oh, absolutely. And let's, another part of another side of this, right? People ask me, why do you give it all away for free? You're going to screw all this up for everybody, because if you teach everybody how to do it, you're doing it for free. Guys, the funny thing is, it's kind of calculated by me in a way. It's not calculated, but I go into it understanding that 95% of you fuckers aren't going to do it anyways. Mm-hmm. I'll give you all the stuff in my brain. Well, why would you do that for free? Because I know you're not going to do it anyways. Mm-hmm. I can lay it all out for you. But when you realize it is hard, and that means I have to get up off the couch watching Jerry Springer and eating freaking ice cream at 3 a.m, you don't want to do that shit. I don't have time. Bullshit, you do too. Now, having said that, there might be 5% of the population that legitimately don't have time. Okay, mm-hmm. I understand that. But let's say you work in a 40-hour week job, right? So you're working 8 hours a day. There's 24 hours in a day. You come home, you have kids. Let's say you get home at 5, have dinner by 6 o'clock, sit with the kids until 7 or 8 o'clock. What are you doing from 8 to midnight? Oh, I'm tired. I need to watch Jerry Springer. Well, okay, you're making a conscious decision not to do something to better your life, but I'm tired. Well, then you have no reason, or you have no right to bitch. If you're 800 pounds, don't bitch about being 800 pounds. Go fucking fix it, right? You have from 8 o'clock in the evening until midnight. Go to sleep at midnight. Sleep till 6, wake up and do it all over again. 6 hours of sleep. Oh, but I need 12. Oh, okay. No, you don't. But people always have an excuse, and they don't want to try. They don't want to make themselves uncomfortable. They don't want to. That's why I give it all away for free, because I know you're not going to do it anyways.
Wherever you are in life, 20-year alcohol addiction, bad marriage, business that failed, the choices that you made got you there. And the reason that you don't see that is because you're refusing to take ownership of anything. And it's unacceptable. It's not going to be around me. It's not going to be around my company, because we don't. And here's the scary thing, Bruce. I'm the nicest boss that's ever existed on the planet, but my standards are really high. But there's no time to clock in. You could work from 4 a.m. and be done at 12 every day. You could not work on Wednesdays. I don't care, because I have hired you knowing that you know where I stand and I see everything, and I'm asking you to get the job done. There's no timetable on it, but just get it done. But yet they look at people like me and you and they go, oh, that guy's he's a bitch to work for. Like my dudes will hurt somebody to continue to work for me. They love me so much. Same with my coaching clients. That's where I think we've got it twisted. Like people don't get that.
Yep.
Because go ahead.
When I talk, I'll be on stage and try to talk to people about mindset. And kind of what you said, I'll be going into, usually it's going to be based around real estate. This is why I think you should invest in real estate. This is why you should invest in multifamily. But I'll stop about 15 minutes into my presentation and say, okay, as we're laying groundwork here, guys, let's understand one very important thing right now. You're here for a reason. Something's not working. Maybe your retirement got hammered again in the stock market, or you got laid off, or there's some monetary component to your life that's probably not quite right for you. Retirement seems to be further away than you thought. That's why you're sitting here, right? You're trying to learn something to find another way, or maybe a better way to supplement or replace your income in a better way. So there's a reason you're here. But you got to understand, at the base of it all, you are where you are because of you. It's all your fault. And you get, people get really defensive and they hate me. And I was like, look, you could hate me all you want. I don't care. It's your fault. You are where you are. You had shitty parents. Your boss sucks. You hate the president. Doesn't matter. It's not your boss's fault, your coach's fault, your mom's fault. It's not President Trump's fault, or maybe President Biden's fault someday, President Obama's fault. It's not their fault. It's your fault. You're a grown-ass human being now. But the beauty of it being your fault, if it's somebody else's fault, that's disempowering. Somebody else put me where I am. What do I do about that? I don't know. I put myself here. That means I can get me out of here. If you are in control, if you will accept responsibility in control of your own life and destiny, you can make a difference about it. If somebody else is holding you down, if you're in Northern Korea, if you're in Russia or Iran or what, okay, somebody else is inflicting this shit upon you. Well, that's disempowering. There's not a lot you can do about that. But since you have made decisions in your life to put you where you are, you can re-engineer those decisions and go the other way now. So I talk to people about that all the time. Just understand who you are, and your decisions got you where you are.
That's the clip I'm going to listen to every morning when I'm running. That's it right there, dude. Well, we could do this for 9 years. So I want to respect your time. How do they find out about you? How do they get the book? All that kind of stuff.
So apartmentguy.com, which is apt-guy.com. If you go to the website, like I said, I'm just trying to give. So if you go to the website, put in your email address, because I got to get it to you somehow. I want to send you a free PDF copy of the book to anybody that wants it. I've given away hundreds and hundreds of copies. I want to give away more. Other than that, you can follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram. That's where I try to stay the most active.
Well, guys, and also, if you are listening to this live on Facebook, November 7th, we've got a mastermind happening here in the Austin area. Bruce is going to speak at it. I'm going to speak at it. Matt Tepsi is going to speak at it. We've got a bunch of guys coming in from out of town. Make sure you drop your email in the bottom, and we'll get an email sent out to you. But I just want to thank you so much, my brother. Appreciate it. If you like this episode, guys, make sure you share it with your friends and make sure we get it around to everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.